Hi kids, it's Friday and it's the last day of Vacation Bible School. It's kind of sad that I won't see you all around the Imagination Station anymore. But you know, I've really enjoyed my time with you, and I hope you've enjoyed your time with me and the old engineer. We've got a starter question today that's kind of a tricky one. It was recommended by our buddy Lawrence Elk, and it is about elk. And he poses this: can an elk run up to 40 miles an hour, or can an elk jump 8 feet off the ground? I'll let you think about that for a moment. So back to our question. How about an elk? Can it run 40 miles an hour, or can it jump 8 feet up in the air? I'm going to need some help with a drum roll here. And the answer is they're both true. An elk can run 40 miles an hour, and he can jump 8 feet up in the air. Isn't that crazy? Well, now the old engineer is going to tell you something about a brand new kind of train, and I'll be back with the closing word in a few minutes. See you then. Hi, kids. I really enjoyed my time with you this week. I hope you learned a thing or two in the Imagination Station about science, trains, and Jesus. Today's conductor question is a toughie. How can magnets be used to move a train? If the sun is a star, then the Earth is a giant magnet with north and south poles that are shifted slightly off the Earth's geometrical polar axes. So what is a magnet? It's an object that attracts certain metals, mainly iron. Magnetism decreases with distance from an object. Permanent magnets keep their magnetism for a long time versus temporary magnets, which lose their magnetism after a short time. Most temporary magnets are electromagnets. Magnets can come in various shapes and sizes depending on their application. Usually one of the three main shapes are bar, horseshoe, or round. Electromagnets are formed by wrapping wire around an iron core if you're going to use it for moving things like a relay arm or a solenoid, or picking things up like junk cars, or you'd wind it in a toroidal shape like a donut to make an MRI machine or an atomic particle accelerator. Every magnet has two poles, a north and a south pole. Opposite poles attract. North is pulled towards a south pole, and a south pole is pulled towards a north pole. Like poles repel. North repels north, and if you flip both magnets end for end, south would repel south. This property of magnets, repulsion, has been used successfully to transport people on a train that has no wheels. The Maglev Train, a train whose speed is limited by its aerodynamics. In other words, it can only push air out of its own way so fast. But of course, air is our friend, and Jesus helps us be a good friend. Trust Jesus, yeah. And just so you know, maglev is a made-up word from magnetic and levitation. There's three things that magnets have to do to move a train. First, you got to get it up off the ground. Second, you got to keep it away from the walls. And third, and most importantly, you got to push it and pull it down the line. The maglev train uses repulsion of light poles to elevate it above the roadbed and away from the walls. It uses both attraction and repulsion for propulsion. You can see how the north and south poles attract each other, as well as north repels north and south repels south in this diagram. Magnets are used to both push and pull the maglev train. They are electromagnets. In a little bit, we'll show you how you can push one magnet with another magnet. Coming right up. All right, kids. Wow, it's Friday. Happy Friday from the old engineer. Hope you enjoyed your stop each day to the Imagination Station. I've really enjoyed showing you some things about science and how we can learn about Jesus from science. Today we're going to explore the magnetic properties of attraction and repulsion. And we're going to be using, as you know, it's better to attract your friends than to repel them. And Jesus' power helps us be better friends. Yes, always trust Jesus. So we'll be working with permanent magnets today, not electromagnets. You've seen some of these before, like the bar magnet and the horseshoe magnet and some round magnets. I even have a compass here in case we want to check which way is north and south on each of the magnets. But remember that north and south attract each other, and two north poles will repel each other just as two south poles will repel each other. And remember, we talked about the maglev train and how it uses both attraction and repulsion to move the train down the line. Well, I'm going to show you that with a couple of magnets here. We've got two magnets, and I'm using a couple rulers as walls for the maglev train, and I'm pushing the rear one, and I hope you can see that the front one is being pushed ahead of it. And we can also use the property of attraction to pull it down the line. We can do that. We'll show that. We'll put a little piece of wood in between so they don't actually touch, and show that this is action at a distance. So now I'm pulling on the front one, and it's pulling the rear one along with it. And that's how the maglev train moves. It uses, remember, it uses both attraction and repulsion to move down the line. Now I've got one more thing I want to show you here. It's that action at a distance we just talked about. If you can see this thing, I'll move the horseshoe magnets out of the way so you can get a better view of this critter that I put together from several magnets and some pieces of wood. It loves to attract other magnets, believe me. But it has a special property, being able to be levitated. I'll move this over here, hopefully you can see it a little better. And I hope you can see that it's not touching the top magnets or not touching the bottom magnets. The only place it's constrained is right up here at the very tip of the spindle, and it can move, it can rotate. So just some of the aspects of magnetism. and what it can teach you about Jesus and how his power helps us be better friends. Yep, trust Jesus. Stick around, the conductor will be right here and he wants to say goodbye. I'll see you later. Take care. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. We explored the properties of magnetism and that the Earth is a huge magnet itself and has its own north and south poles. Magnets can both attract and repel. And magnets can be used to push and pull a train down the line. You remember our Bible point for today? Jesus' power helps us to be a good friend. Trust Jesus indeed. Let's take a look back at our week in Vacation Bible School at the old Imagination Station and see if you remember about learning about locomotive power, about mechanical advantage and the levers. How about air pressure? You remember that? And light and sound, how they make things bolder, like thunder and lightning. And how about solar power? And then we learned about magnetism today a little bit. So I hope you enjoyed the week here with us. I certainly have. And I know that the old engineer has. So long from me and the old engineer. Enjoy the rest of your summer. And remember, Jesus' power always pulls us through. Bye now.
One more.